Hey, today we're going to cover a nerf that popped up just recently. We'll also go over a Blitzer Trick that lets you fire it incredibly fast. Not only that, but a player has discovered a TCS mission again that might hint at the developers re-releasing that mission. And there's even more to cover. If you enjoyed the content, please show some love by tapping the like button below this video. I'd really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Alrighty, let's start the video with a nerf that many Helldivers have noticed lately, and you might be one of those Helldivers who have noticed it too. For those who don't know, in patch 01.003.200, some adjustments were made to melees. At the time, there didn't seem to be anything noticeable in terms of a nerf, but it appears that melee attacks have taken a hit this time around. First, I'll show you a before and after comparison to give you a clear picture of what was nerfed, and then I'll share my thoughts about it. In this first example, before patch 01.003.200, we can see that I'm able to inflict damage through the charger's leg armor easily, without an issue, whether I'm using a secondary melee attack or even the one true flag stratagem. I'm able to penetrate the leg armor and defeat chargers easily with just melee weapons. So what happens when I try the same thing in the current patch, the one we're all on? Well, it's not good by any means. What you'll see is that when I try to inflict damage, it reflects. You're no longer able to stun chargers or dish out damage to their legs. It's now impossible to defeat a charger by striking just its legs, which is honestly sad to see. Now, what are my thoughts about this nerf? I'll say first off that I'm not excited about it by any means. I know that the majority of players out there who don't use melees probably won't be upset by this change. However, the other half of the player base that relies on melees or just want to have fun using the melees will be disappointed by this change. Those who don't care about this nerf probably should, because to be fair, nerfs in general suck. Melee weapons need more love, and when a nerf like this happens, it's sad to see. It seems that melee weapons are now in a worse spot than ever before. If you've noticed this change recently, what are your thoughts about it? Do you care, or is it not a huge problem for you that melee was nerfed? Post a response below this video and let me know. So let's put that conversation aside for another day. We're now going to check out what's happening with the Galactic map, because a player just experienced a bug where the TCS mission from a year ago popped up on their Galactic map when selecting a mission on the Terminated side. We've got a post right here from a player named Jonk6945 that includes a screenshot showing the mission icon and details on what the mission entails. That sort of rhymed, which if you've played it before, you already know. This Helldiver went on to say that when they tried to start the mission, it wouldn't load and the game crashed instantly. They believe it's a bug, and some think the developers are working on reintroducing another TCS mission in the near future. This might be the case, as several players have requested that the developers bring back this mission, and perhaps it's going to happen. We know the TCS mission played a part in turning Meridia into a wormhole, alongside the fact, well, that we launched dark fluid into the Meridia's crust. All I can say is hopefully we don't create another wormhole and bring something else into the galaxy we don't want. Anyway, it's exciting to see that the developers are potentially working on reintroducing this mission to Helldivers 2, and I'm stoked about it. If they are indeed bringing this mission back, I think a lot of players are going to just love it. At the time, we don't have any official details, except that it can pop up on the Galactic map. I'm not sure how many of you watching would like to see or participate in this mission again in the near future, but I know I certainly would love to play it again. Okay, speaking of bugs, there's a common issue with colony maps that I'm not sure the developers are aware of. If you haven't noticed or paid attention, when you clear out a map and collect the valuables, the icons remain on the map as if they've never been collected. It's a problem I find quite annoying, especially if you're farming for super credits or if you're a fellow Helldiver who loves clearing maps. It's an ongoing discussion on the Helldivers subreddit, and apparently it only happens on colony maps and even megacities. I didn't know this was happening because I know that it can happen on colony maps, but I didn't realize that it's also an issue on megacities. If you have noticed it, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think the developers should patch it? Anywho, let's move along and talk about some fun tricks you can use in-game. For instance, did you know that you can fire a blitzer super fast by simply swapping a blitzer on the ground repeatedly while firing? Check it out right here. You can fire the blitzer, then quickly pick up another one on the ground by swapping. Now, do I think this is a trick you'll use all the time? No, I don't think so, but I do believe it can be somewhat useful if you're playing a defense mission and staying stationary. This trick was sent to me by a Helldiver named Operator Naya Diver on the Glitch Unlimited Discord. If you'd like to join us over there, feel free to tap the Discord link in the description. The second trick is on the Super Destroyer, which I've talked about before. I only showed how to do it with the dispatch button, but after seeing so many comments from most of you stating that you can use the kick emote, which is absolutely true, I want to clarify that you can use other methods. So previously I showed the dispatch method because it's an easy way for some of you to do it if you don't have the kick emote. If you do have the emote, just go over to the desk and use the kick emote to knock the objects over. You can then mess around with the items on the table there and even mess around with the stratagem ball. On an unrelated note about tricks, did you know that the enthusiastic mirth emote is back in the Superstore? If you didn't know, it's right here, and you can purchase it now by either buying super credits or farming for them, which is easy to do, by the way. I highly recommend buying this emote as it's one of the best emotes ever in game. Of course, that's my personal opinion. There's also a new armor set with a new armor passive as well, so that's definitely worth buying if you like the armor, color, and theme. So yeah, it's definitely worth purchasing if you haven't purchased it before. It's right here in the Superstore, and you've got a little bit of time to pick this up before the whole entire store refreshes, and that's about 1 day. Soon enough it'll be shorter because, of course, by the time this video goes up, the time will have changed. Let's continue with the video by discussing the SteamDB files that have been updated recently for Helldivers 2. There have been some changes recently. You can see that they updated some things, and at the time of creating this video it shows updates from 7 hours ago, 23 hours ago, and so forth. We could tell the skeleton crew at Arrowhead is working on releasing a patch soon, possibly next week on the 5th. Hopefully that's the case. I'm sure many of you out there hope they resolve several bugs, including the epoch issue, the freezing bug with some stratagems, and so on. If they do, I plan to go over and give you details on whether or not it's been resolved. Nevertheless, rest assured the developers seem to be working hard on releasing a patch, and I can't wait to see what it contains. Okay, we're going to switch gears and go over a comment that Arrowhead CEO Sham Georgiani posted on the Helldivers subreddit that I don't think many of you have seen. I certainly didn't see this post until I was looking around for stuff to talk about. In this post, a Helldiver shared that their brother had unfortunately passed away, and they wanted to know what armor he wore on his last mission and his stats. It seems Shams replied, expressing his condolences for the player's loss, and asked him to DM him their info so he could see what he could do. It turns out the original poster sent him a DM, and that right there is incredible to see. It's incredible how kind the CEO was in that moment, and I don't think many folks have seen this before. It goes to show how kind all of the devs, staff, and even the CEO are. I thought this was super nice of him to do, and it's just awesome overall. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the Galactic map, because first and foremost, Akmar was successfully defended. Unfortunately, Krimzika is under attack, as we can see right here, and it looks like the spores are there, you know, the good old predator strains and whatnot. There's also the interesting mega city name, which I think a lot of you have to see this. I've brought this up in the past, but you can see there's a long name here, and this is a actual city in Wales, if you didn't know. So that's awesome. That's there if you want to go there. And it seems that the best course of action right now is just to continue defending some of the planets. We do have something to worry here with H-Erd, because there's a good chance that the good old Terminids, I say good, shouldn't say that, Democracy Report, but basically right here we should be aware of what's going on, because there's a good chance the Terminids will attack Turin from this part right here. So that's all we need to know right now about the Galactic map and the war and whatnot. if you have any ideas on what we should do here. Do you think we should stay and liberate Acherd? Should we continue defending Crimsica, even though it's a loss? Just let me know what you think. I certainly believe we should liberate Acherd right now before anything happens, but feel free to let me know what you think. Lastly, for today's video, as always, we're going to go over the top 3 comments. First from Derek, that talked about how there needs to be defense gambits explained, some of the other things, including mega cities, and I absolutely agree. Those are some key components that we're missing, and especially since Xbox players are coming in, they need to be informed as to what's going on and how to defend planets properly. The second top comment is by Caden that spoke on Terminate Exoskeleton, something that was mentioned in the previous major order, and they want some sort of Terminate Exoskeleton skins or armor, and I have to agree, I think that would be insane. I'd personally like to see something similar with the automatons, or even the, Illuminates, something where we're actually using their parts and stuff. I think it'd be brutal and gruesome and just so awesome. The third and final top comment is by Beef Chief that spoke on the new Bile Titans potentially, where, I went over it recently how there was that hint in the Super Destroyer, and they talked about if the Bile Titan can sprint, it would be terrifying, and I have to agree. I have a feeling it's going to be able to jump somehow, and if it does, that in itself is also terrifying, whether it's sprinting or jumping. So with those comments out of the way, hope you have enjoyed the video. As always, I appreciate the support. If you tap the like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and all that great stuff. Thank you to everyone that's currently watching the videos, whether you're a subscriber, member, or even a lurker out there. I appreciate all the support, and without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one.